Hi, I'm Maya Caldwell, and this is Mariachi, the Music of Mexico. I chose to complete my project on mariachi music because I'm Mexican. My mom was born and raised in Mexico City, and because of that, I grew up around a lot of Mexican influence. To me, family is everything, and because of my family, I was introduced to mariachi at a very young age. I can still remember the fiestas we used to have where my family was playing instruments and everyone was singing. It's something that's brought us all together. Mariachi is a big part of my culture and something I'm excited to share with you all. So, what exactly is mariachi? It's a type of music that's a huge part of Mexican culture. It's used in almost every setting, from festivals to funerals. The origin of the word mariachi is up for debate, but is said to have come from the now extinct indigenous language of Mexico. The music itself is composed of vihuelas, violins, trumpets, guitars, and guitarrones. A vihuela being a Mexican guitar type instrument that's smaller than a guitar and produces a higher pitch, and the guitarron being another Mexican guitar type instrument that's bigger and produces a lower pitch. Here's a video of a vihuela The music is in a major key, which makes it sound festive. The singers of mariachi use full voices, and members of the group add in yells and laughs to add to the festiveness as well. The term mariachi is used to describe the music and the member of such group. So essentially, a mariachi plays in a mariachi while playing mariachi. Though the music to most is just a genre, to the people of Mexico it's considered a movement and a source of cultural pride. The start of mariachi dates back to the 1850s. It got its start in western Mexico in the state of Jalisco. It was a blend of the music of Spanish colonizers, African slaves, and the indigenous people to create a new sound. It was the music of the people. The lyrics of the music celebrating the pride and joy of being Mexican. In the beginning, mariachi bands only used string instruments, which were introduced by the Spanish. The first mariachi bands were small and were mostly used in wedding ceremonies or as background for theater performances, and for a while, mariachi wasn't known outside western Mexico. The first mariachi recordings date back to 1908. The recordings used an acoustic process, no electric amps, in order to highlight the essence of the music itself. These recordings were the start of the popularization of mariachi music outside Mexico. More and more people started listening to mariachi as it became more accessible. This is an example of the early versions of mariachi music. You can hear that it's solely string instruments being played. Señora, su periquito, me gusta por colorado. Señora, su periquito, me gusta por colorado. Ay, verá mi dedo vete, donde no la regalado. Ay, verá mi dedo vete, donde no la regalado. La 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 la. Señora, su periquito, me gusta por colorado. With the ability to now record and spread mariachi music, it quickly gained much popularity outside of western Mexico. When mariachi music hit Mexico City, that's when things really took off for the genre. In 1909, Rosa Quinero made history as the first woman in a mariachi band. As the music became more popular, everyone wanted to participate. In the 1920s, trumpets were beginning to be played in mariachi bands, and by the 1940s, it was a staple instrument thanks to Miguel Martinez. As bands started to get more popular, the size of mariachis started to grow from just 4 to 5 members to up to 20. Bands were now wearing their iconic charo suits that they're so known for today. Who is Miguel Martinez? He was the man responsible for popularizing trumpets in mariachi bands. He grew up in Mexico City in the 1930s, just as trumpets were starting to be introduced into mariachis. Miguel soon learned to play the trumpet and was quickly asked to be a part of many different groups. He was invited to play with the famous Mariachi Vargas. His unique trumpet solos became a staple of the group and started the trend of trumpets taking a more important role in the mariachi, which hadn't been done before. He forever changed the sound of mariachi, and many Mexicans consider him a legend. The word charo translates to cowboy, but a charo is much more than that. Before the Revolution, Mexicans weren't allowed to wear the charo suit. They were only to be worn by the Spanish in order to not mistake the upper and lower class. But after Mexico gained independence from Spain, Mexicans were free to ride horses, own land, and wear the charo suit. It soon became a symbol of Mexican pride. In 1934, President Porfirio Diaz encouraged all mariachi bands to wear the suit and even declared September 14th Dia Nacional de Charro, or National Day of the Charro. Mariachi bands everywhere started wearing the suit as a symbol of pride for their country and still wear them to this day. As mariachi bands began to gain more popularity, the bands started to play at more and more events as entertainment. They started popping up at baptisms, holidays, funerals, and mass. What once started as a way for Mexicans to tell stories and show their love for their culture within their communities was now turning into something much bigger. As the music started to change and become more popular, there's one group that's seen its evolution and actually evolved with it in real time. Mariachis Vargas de Tecalitlan. The group was founded by Don Gaspar Varga in 1894, but has been playing ever since under many different artistic directors. The original group consisted of a guitarron, 2 wooden harps, and a violin. And today, over 100 years later, the group now plays with 2 harps, a vihuela, a guitar, a guitarron, 2 trumpets, and 6 violins. The group quickly gained popularity in the 50s and became an international sensation with the help of the radio. This once small group out of western Mexico had now performed alongside icons such as Selena Quintanilla and is now widely known as one of the most influential mariachi bands to this day. Up in this top video, I have a video from the group in 1955.
Hojas de papel volando, negrita de mis pesares, hojas de papel volando, a todos diles que sí, pero no les digas cuando así me dijiste a mí, por eso vivo penando.
And then I have a video of the group in 2019.
Necesito olvidar para poder vivir. No quisiera pensar que todo lo perdí. De noche a parada se llevaron nuestras vidas, quedando las cabezas de aquel inmenso amor. Y no poder tampoco poder ir.
Today, most members of mariachi bands learn to play from their parents and their grandparents before them. As with most things in Mexican culture, it's passed down from generation to generation. If you were to visit Mexico City now, you'd see the streets lined with different mariachi bands. And though it's had an influence on the outside world, it hasn't let the outside world have an influence on it. Mariachi has stayed true to its staple changes in tempo and switches between melodies between instruments. From the size of the groups to the instruments being played, mariachi has gone through some significant changes in its lifetime. But one thing about it that has remained the same is the message behind it. Mariachi has always been about Mexicans taking pride in who they are. Though some songs are sadder or happier than others, it's all about coming together and feeling the emotion of the song as one. Mariachi has been and will continue to be the music of Mexico for many years to come.